Hey, everybody out there. Tark Patel here from SB Live. Another episode of Southern Section Sit Down coming your way. Another special guest. Of course, they're all special, but this one is extremely special. 18 years at JSerra as the baseball coach. His last 2 seasons ended in CIF championships. Baseball coach Brett K. Brett, thanks for coming on to the episode.
I'm pumped to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah,
this is
great.
Good setup.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can't wait to get into the nitty-gritty. I always start these episodes the same way. I want to talk about origin. I want the viewers to know who you are. How'd you get into baseball? Where'd you play? How'd you get into it? Were you throwing the ball in the backyard? Did a friend take you to baseball practice one day on a whim and boom, that's it. Now your whole life is baseball. How did baseball inject itself into your life?
I don't know how long we have, but there's. So I was a 3-sport star. I mean, not a 3-sport star. I was a 3-sport athlete. I loved basketball. I didn't play tackle football till my freshman year at Modern Day, but baseball was always a part of my DNA. My dad played in the NFL for the Rams and the Falcons back in the 70s, and he didn't want me playing tackle football per se, and they didn't really have that back in the the 80s. So I grew up in Orange and Villa Park, played Villa Park Little League, and then I got attached to a team with Matt Boone, who is Bob Boone's son, Aaron Boone, Brett Boone,
Sure.
The Boone family. And so my years of 13, 14 really kind of sprouted in regards to when travel ball was a little bit more pure. There were 6 teams and, or 8 teams, and there was the best players from the Pico Rivera Dodgers to the Encinitas Reds to the San Diego Stars to our team was the Placentia Mustangs. And so 13, 14 kind of really sprouted for me. I played for one of my mentors in my life, 2 gentlemen named Bob Spohr and Mike Robertson. And I knew that there was a chance for me to be good, in essence. And I lived in Villa Park. My mom really my parents divorced when I was young, didn't want me to go to a public school because I probably wouldn't have lasted long. I had a kind of a rougher upbringing going through divorce. I didn't know how to handle those types of situations. Older brother was a big mentor of my life, and I had a sister as well. And so she sent me to Modern Day to go play for Bob Ikes. And I'm in debt to Bob. He's now on my staff now. He was my first call when I got the JSerra job. Bob, can you come over and join me? Took me 16 years to get him. Since we've had him, we've gone to 3 CIF
There's a common denominator there.
So yeah, Modern Day was and then, that was the run where I played, I was, freshman on JV, sophomore on varsity, and played with the likes of Mike Hessman, who works for the Tigers now, and he's the home run king. He's the Crash Davis of the minor league baseball. And some great teams, lost in the semis. My sophomore year, lost in the quarters. My junior, lost in the second round my senior year, and then obviously at Cal State Fullerton, we went to College World Series there. So, but as a younger age, I was good at basketball. I still watch my those flick-on tapes of me playing and then JB or all nets. And
What kind of game did you have? I gotta ask. Shooter?
Yeah, so my high, sadly that I remember this, was 43. So,
Hey!
But I was big. I was big for 12 and 13 and 14. I haven't grown since then.
Okay.
But I could dish. I could rebound. I was
Play
probably
a little.
3. I could do a little bit, and I loved it. It's one of my biggest regrets in life. I had a Houston Astros scout tell me to stop playing multiple sports back in the day, in 94. And I'm not trying to gloat, but I was the MVP of the freshman football team and the MVP of the basketball team.
Oh,
and,
yeah, you were on your way. What's wrong with that? Yeah.
I wanted to be a 3-sport guy, and I stopped playing. And it was the biggest mistake. I tell it to my parents in my parent meetings to this day. I know the generation is different, and the tug and pull of what you will is different, but I regret it. I regret it because I love hooping. I still love hooping. I can't do it much anymore because I've torn my ACL twice.
No adult leagues anymore, huh?
No, but I mean, we had an adult league where they kept stats.
Oh, man, that'll keep you coming back.
I loved it. It was so great. So great.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, no, thanks for sharing that. And again, as we said at the top of the show, 18 years at JSerra, been knocking on the door for a long time. And I know you got back-to-back CIF championships, but you've been in the final 3 straight years. Did I hear that correctly? Yeah. So in the final 3 straight years, you've won the last 2. People know you as the perennial power here in Southern California, nationwide, Baseball America, things like that. JSerra is always at the top. And it sounds like you've been hunting a lot as a coach at JSerra. And then the last 3 years or so, last 2 for sure, you've been the hunted. Well, explain that difference to me, because clearly it's a little new.
Yeah, I mean, it took some time. So when I got the job, August 14th, 2006, and I knew what I wanted JSerra to be. I knew the vision of that. Now, granted, I got told no 3 times before I got the job. So having the job in its own right, it's another story for another day. And I was only supposed to last a year. Dave Demarest was actually supposed to come and be the head coach there. Again, another story for another day.
Okay.
But I knew year 1 we were 11-15. Year 2 we were 18-10. We made the playoffs. We had lost in the first round to ML King and Riverside, and Simi Valley ended up winning it that year. That was the Fighting Orloffs. Matt Orloff is on my staff now, so there's another small story. And then we won a league championship in 09, and I was like, okay, hey, we're on this trajectory. And we lost in the second round. And to Riverside Poly and Dylan Stewart and some really great players. Aaron Moore was the head coach at Riverside Poly. In 2010, we were a third-place team. You know, we lost to San Clemente in the second round. We beat Great Oak in round 1. 2011, we're getting national notoriety. And Austin Hedges is, the MVP, and he was the MVP his sophomore year. He's now a catcher back with the Guardians. And, we're in the top 15 in the nation. We lose to JW North. So we were ascending, if you will. In 12 and 13, we struggled. I think we were 10 and 16 and like 11 and 16 or something like that. Really not in the right direction where we were coming off those 9, 10, and 08, 9, 10, and 11 years. And then 14, we're league champions again. 15, we're league champions. 16, we're league champions. And we finally got over the second round hump, if you will.
Okay.
So 14, we get to the semifinals, and we play Foothill, and they beat us. And we had beat them 8-1 earlier in the season. We're playing at Blair. It's a huge yard. We didn't know how to adjust. I had never really won at Blair. As a player at Cal State Fullerton, and as a player at Mater Dei, I had won a playoff game. Titans are a little bit different. We always beat Long Beach State.
Nice. Had to get that in there real quick.
So we lose, and that's the year Santa Margarita won it in 14 with Griffin Canning. And then 15, we're number 1 in the nation. And
wow.
We are, Quentin Longry pitches us in the Edison game in the second round to get us to the quarterfinals, and we got to travel up to Hart, Jim Ozella, who's a legend in his own right. And we can't get out of an inning and get off the field with 2 outs, and they beat us. I think they scored 8 runs with 2 outs or something like that, and it was just devastating for us. Then we go back up there in 2016. Now these 14, 15, 16s are the Chase Drumps, the Brady Shockeys, the Parker Joe Robinson, the Royce Lewises, Lyle Linds, Davis Wenzel. Colin Quinn, who's the pitcher of the year in Orange County in 16. And we are back, and we go back to Hart. Quarterfinal game. And
Jim Ozella's there again.
Ozella,
It's like Jim Ozella, yeah.
But I think we scored 12 in the first 2 innings.
Okay.
It was kind of, all these players now on Instagram and social media, revenge season, or revenge tour, or whatever it is. But our players had felt. So we get to the semis, and we have played Matt LaCour and Jared Halpert in the offseason when they had Giolotto and Freed and Flaherty and this
Harvard
whole group.
Westlake.
Yeah, Harvard Westlake, yes.
Yeah.
And, I have a huge affinity and respect for them. Jared, I consider one of my best friends. And this is, I think, his first year. And they've got Jesse Bergen on the mound. We've got Colin Quinn. And we've got this all-star lineup. And they beat us, I believe, 2-0. So we can't get to the finals. Now, granted, Marietta Mesa beats Harvard Westlake in the 16 finals. And, so there was some frustration. We were, 33-7, I think, that year. When you could play a little bit more games. And then in 17's Royce's senior year, we lose in the first round. 18, we lose in the first round on a walk-off grand slam to Etowanda. 19, we've got a no-hitter going against Maricosta and Gage Jump, who's the best pitcher we've ever had in the history of JSerra, and we lose with 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th. And then we lose again. I forgot who. I can't think of it. Then you have COVID year. We're number 1 in the state. 11-1. You have COVID. And then 21. We finally get over that hump. We beat Ayala in 21 with the Schreiers and Jewetts and Blanchards and Silvas and Jumps and Darcy's and this whole conglomerate of great kids. And we go to Cal State Fullerton. It's set up perfectly for us.
Oh, you're loving it.
This is my home.
Yep.
We know what Halp and Harvard Westlake is going to do. They're throwing Christian Becerra. We know how they're going to throw us.
I was there that day.
And we couldn't hit, and, tip cap to Jared and Becerra and that whole group. They wanted it more. They
1-0, 2-1. So
yeah, it was
really
Jewett.
low.
We got one hit. Jewett hit a ball off JSerra off the wall. That was the only hit we got.
Yeah,
And I think they got 3 hits. But we threw a bunt away. Silva was amazing in his own right. But we threw a bunt away, and I remember watching Jared and Harvard Westlake celebrate. Granted, it's JSerra, Harvard Westlake, and that's one of your biggest rivalries you're going to get from a baseball scenario in Southern Section. And I remember watching them celebrate, and I was devastated. Like it was so hard for me to build around and how to navigate that world of because there's haters and there's naysayers and there's people that want to see you struggle, and when you're in the limelight or you've created what you want to create, getting to the mountain is really hard, right? And then once you get to the mountaintop, it's harder to stay there. So we had no expectations really in 22. We knew we had a good squad, but what I had were ultimate leaders in Owen Fuller and David Horn. And I had the right mix of guys with Trent Caraway and Mendez, who had transferred to us. Lou Fujiwara, who's from Japan and played in the Japan Little League World Series in 17 and won it. And just this really unique group of student athletes that, were hungry, but they struggled out of the gate. I mean, in 21, I think we were 6-9 at one point, or not 6-9. We were like 4-6. We lost one more game the rest of the year. 22, we were 6-9 or something to that effect, and they won 18 in a row. And then, they get to the playoffs, and I'm sorry for being so long-winded.
No, that's all right.
And they give up, I think 5 runs or 4 runs in 5 games. And we have to beat, really tough teams. We have to beat Villa Park in the semifinals. David Horn throws a gem. We have Notre Dame of Sherman Oaks and Cole Clark at the time, and a really good Tom Dill coach team.
Sure.
And J.J. Hollis had been phenomenal for us, his sophomore and junior year, and just pitched a gem. And Tyler Goff had come in, and, we scored in the 5th. We ran some silly things early in the game to try to kind of keep them off guard, but we kind of punched through it. Dominic Smaldino had a huge hit that was supposed to be a safety squeeze that turned into a hit sequence scenario because they had crashed, in baseball jargon, if you will. And, then we strike out. Goff walks 4 guys, but he ends up striking the side out. And, it was obviously a very euphoric moment for me. And, being at JSerra and knowing, that interview process of what I had gone through earlier and what I wanted to build. And, finally winning it with, Coach Ikes, my assistants, Orloff and Rube. Rube, who's been with me, was my hitting coach at Modern Day, has been coaching for 40 years, never won a CIF title. Groot as well, who was my GA when I was at Cal State Fullerton. So it's really a group of great men coaching these great kids to win it in 22. And you have everybody coming back in 23.
Mm-hmm.
And so the expectation is, and we talked about a little bit off air, is what teams can go through. What Corona's probably going to go through this year. And, when you've got the Trent Caraways and the Mendez and, the Arms, the Matt Champions and, Smaldinos and, just Andrew Lamb, who was the player of the year in 22,
Yes.
And they're all coming back. And so the expectation is, and in South County, when you have expectations, and I'm not stereotyping, but I will, you have to, you can hang on those coattails a little bit too long. And that was my concern. And we struggled. We were 1-5 in league. We may not even make the playoffs. I mean, Modern Day had swept us. SM had beat us 2 out of 3. I had my first ejection as a coach.
You had kids that thought they could just show up.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Yeah, and I talk about
because they're only teenagers.
Yeah, and that's the hard part. And we go to North Carolina, we make the finals there, and we lose to Huntington Beach. And Benji's done a fantastic job, and they beat us. But we knew we were kind of coming. And, we sweep Bosco, we sweep Servite. We get in the playoffs. We beat Olu 2 out of 3. We get on the playoffs on the last day. Brody Purcell comes in for JJ and throws 6 innings and 9 strikeouts and 1 hit baseball and gets us in as a 3rd-place team in the Trinity League. And I know I'm super long-winded, so I apologize. We have to go to – remember, there was rain.
Okay.
And so Eucaipas Field wasn't ready.
Okay, this is ringing a bell a little bit.
So – Eucaipas Field's not ready, and we have to play on Monday, where everybody else played on Thursday and Friday.
That's right.
And so Etowanda, and I don't know who they had played in the first round. I don't know. I can't think of it. remember watching it on Game Changer, but they had won. So Etiwanda knew they were going to play the UKIPA or JSerra winner. Well, we go out and beat UKIPA. Tough place to play. Ralph's done a great job with the UKIPA program. And
so you have to play a Monday, Tuesday.
We have to play Monday, Tuesday.
Right.
So Etiwanda, luckily we have a home game. So Etiwanda comes to our place, and our pitching is a little bit, like we've got to figure out how we're going to handle this and navigate it. Well, Champ starts game 1. Reimer starts game 2 against Etiwanda. Small Dino and the Ebel brothers are fantastic, and Donnie Fernald at Etiwanda is a fantastic coach, played college baseball with me at Cal State Fullerton. We beat them. Well, now we've got to play Friday. And against what I think is
Tom, 3 games in 1 week. I remember this. This. Okay, yeah.
And Tom Usborne is one of the most celebrated coaches in the history of celebrations of Southern California baseball.
Yeah. And no one even expected Sierra Canyon to be at that point because they're playing in this rigorous Mission League, and they're just lucky to be in.
Yes.
Seriously, that's just the truth because it was all Notre Dame, Harvard, Westlake, and Crespi was really good.
And Crespi was...
So now you got Sierra Canyon. It's like an afterthought, and they're dangerous, I would think.
And they beat Cypress. And like I said, John Weber in Cypress, is one of the A-plus coaches that's around in this section and someone that I look up to as a coach and a person. They beat Weber in Cypress and they had a phenomenal team. And so here we are, and we start JJ, who's been great for us, and we kind of mix and match. Max Zawistowski comes in. Lou Fujiwara was 2 for 3 with 5 RBIs and had a big hit in the first, a big hit in the third. And, we had this left-hander who's just been a processional player, and he shuts him out, goes 4 innings, gets out of a bases-loaded, no-out jam, goes, 5-2, fielder's choice, strikeout. And, we end up winning that game to get back to the semis. Now, the other semifinal is Olu SM. SM's, won the league championship for the first time in Trinity League's history for them, where it had been Olu, JSerra, modern day pretty dominant. So, and everybody knows about SM's team last year and what Malik has done, and they're a juggernaut. But you have 3 Trinity League teams in the Final Four, and we've got to go to Corona. And they had just come off beating Notre Dame of Sherman Oaks and Justin Lee, and had used Scheifele, who's
everyone was talking about him. Yeah,
fantastic. So the stars kind of aligned for us. Not that we, don't think that we could beat Scheifele, but we have so much respect for him and Andy Wise. And we score 6 runs in the second inning with 2 outs. We safety squeeze, or 5 runs. We safety squeeze with Dimitri to get to 1-0, Lamb doubles, Caraway home run, double, single. And we're up 6-0. Champ throws 4 innings. Max Zawistowski closes it out. We beat Corona. We hear SM wins it. Okay, here we go. Here's the 2023 CIF Division I championship. You've got rivals upon rivals.
And it's going to be the Trinity League. You guys play 3 times or just the twice?
3. We played 3
so
times.
It's going to be your 4th time playing.
Fifth. We played in the semifinals of the National High School Invitational in North Carolina.
Got it. Okay.
So they had beaten us twice. We had beaten them twice.
Got it.
So this was game 5 for us, and what I think, and I've been around high school baseball enough. And for me, it was a great way to send out Rob Wygod, who's got a baseball background. One of the greatest games of high school baseball that I've ever been around. 1-0, bottom of the 8th, the walk-off. Our 9-batter, Dimitri Sasidko, we'd skilled with 1 out. We hadn't had a base runner since the first inning or 2 second. Colin Clark and SM were they had multiple opportunities, runners on base. And we just continued to weather the storm, and what a way to win it for back-to-back. Hasn't been done since 2000, 2001 since Capital Valley. And it really hasn't been done in Division I or really in CIF a lot at all. So feather in the cap, obviously it was a great moment for that team that had that expectation. And, I still watch it daily. Like, I'm not hanging on to it, but I'll never forget and never want to forget those moments in time as a head coach or even as a player, what those mean to me interpersonally, what that means to my family, what that means for our school and everybody else involved, our parents, because it was as electric as an atmosphere as you can be around.
One other topic that's, would like your opinion on is actually the baseball playoff format, And I think there's a lot of coaches, especially in baseball specifically. Football, okay, they can only play once a week. Basketball, we got the pool play and the open now and stuff like that. Okay, baseball. Would you like to see little like best out of 3 action, anything like that, or you like it cutthroat like it is now?
So there's a part of me that does like it cutthroat. Now that I've won 2.
Okay. Yeah, you don't want to play those teams again. Yeah.
But so I'm on the advisory committee at CIF, and Rob was phenomenal. Tom phenomenal. Rich Shear phenomenal. We've talked about it. So there's a couple things that we're looking at. Number one, let's move the baseballs to low seam baseballs. Everybody else is doing it. Colleges are doing it. Major leagues are doing it. San Diego Section's doing it. Playoffs, San Diego Section has a double elimination format. So
okay.
I want to say Weber and Joe Hoggett, before I got into the advisory, had pushed the envelope with CIF to go to a double elimination format. I come in and am trying to do the same. So I've had the conversation for 3 to 4 years now about so we gave them a blueprint. Same dates, same amount of games, to move to an open division or a double elimination bracket. And it keeps getting denied. Now, my reasoning isn't so much CIF as it is educating our principals and athletic directors, or put the onus on, baseball's a spring sport. And it's the end of the year, and people are tired. They're done.
Sure.
They don't want more baseball.
Yeah.
Baseball's not a revenue-generating, type of sport. So it's there. It can happen. You've got it. You've got it in boys basketball. You've got it in boys water polo. You've got it in football. I like what they're doing now. The new rule is, if you're a Division 7 team and you're rated and can be Division 1, boom, you're in Division 1.
Yeah.
So I like being able to say that. You look at Thousand Oaks in 21. I think they were 33-0 or 32-0 or something like that with Jack Wilson. And Reggio and that group, and they should have been Division 1. So I like that change. I think the next change is again having that conversation, but it's not educating CIF.
Right.
It's educating
the membered schools to get it to vote on it so that it can happen, right?
Yeah, and what does that look like for D2 and
Right,
D3,
right.
D4, D5, D6, D7, et cetera? So there's progress being made. I know we all get in a room, we hash it out. We've got everybody from Palm Desert all the way up to the high desert, and we talk about these things. We did not bring it up this year because it's fallen on deaf ears to a certain extent. And we're going to continue pushing that envelope because baseball is too good in Southern Section baseball for it to be one and done.
Sure.
Right? So you're telling me Corona, Notre Dame last year can't go 3 games.
Yeah,
Olu, SM, and the semis can't go 3 games. Harvard, Westlake, JSerra in 16, can't go 3. I'd love to see, and people and scouts want to see, look at Harvard, Westlake this year, Marston, Rayner, and Bridges.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great to see all those guys in 3 days or
Yeah,
whatever the case may be, right?
But it shows the completeness of your program and your team.
It's like a small body of work. I guess I would ask, okay, would you want that format or kind of only for every division? Because, you bring a good point. A lot of those lower level division schools have like 1 arm, 2 arms, and that's what rides them through the postseason. And that's okay. That's high school baseball. But at your level, you're talking about, a stable of arms that would be awesome to showcase for a double elimination tournament. Would you agree with that?
I think it's the open division and maybe 1. I think as you go two down, your roster sizes may be different, yes. Because you're looking at rosters of 30, 33 guys. You've got 3 baseball teams on 1, and some teams say, well, we can't compete with that. Well, you can because you have that depth and you have that ability to do that. If you're the Cypresses and the Huntington Beaches and the Miracostas and, the Eldorados, these great programs that, can do it, with the Harvard Westlakes and the Notre Dames, the top teams, La Miradas, in your Division 1 or open division bracket, if you will, have that depth.
Right.
And, in 2016, when we were number 3 in the nation, we had to face Hans Kraus, who was throwing 99 miles per hour, and they were the 5th team or 4th team out of the South Coast League. And we beat them, but it was like, holy cow. Like, if he beats us, and we're this, like, that's the only shot that they potentially have because they may not have the depth of that. But so there's where I love it because it shows the whole team format.
Of course.
And, baseball is a game of inches, right? Like you lose on game 1, your season's done. Hey, I got a chance game 2, game 3. Now, granted, it could be the quarters, it could be the semis, it should be the finals. Those are the things that I'd like to see, because baseball is, in my opinion, the greatest sport on earth. I know you got a basketball background a little bit,
All good, all good.
But it's just so pure and so good. And high school baseball is so good. In Orange County, Southern Section high school baseball is the best in the nation.
Yeah.
So why not showcase it on the best level you can?
Yeah. I hear that. As we wrap up, again, you're reaching 20 years coaching high school baseball. It sounds like you're having fun. You have fantastic recall. The names, the pitch count, the inning, the years. You're having fun. What is the end goal for Brett K? Well, what's ahead for Brett K, or is it just kind of steady as she goes here?
There's been so many moving parts to that. Like, as a coach, you always want to get better. So does the college game, does it bring an affinity to get better as a coach? Am I away from my family a lot more? There's been that opportunity in the past, which I've declined, or it didn't work out. But the other side is, when I got the JSerra job on my resume, I wanted to be Bob Zamora. I wanted to be, I wanted to win, I wanted to hold a state record in wins. I got the job at 26. I wanted to, match these legends, the Dave Demarest, the Mike Currans, the Bob Ikes, the Steve Galati's, the Bob Zamoras, the greats of Orange County, Southern, Tom Usborne. And so you wanted to match yourself against that from a historical context. And, now my son's 11. Does he go to JSerra? Does he does he want to play somewhere else? He wants to play for Halp or Weber, by the way.
Oh, that's good. We're clipping that.
And, so I'm 44, I want to stay, Bob Ikes, who's on my staff. I want to make sure I'm staying upright, and, but it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of stress. There's a lot of pressure to perform, and, call it private, call it public, call it JSerra, call it not, but I love that. And I don't know if I could do anything. I can't do anything else. This is what I'm good at. This is what I love doing. This is what I'm passionate about. I have other things that I like, but that's music and movies. So,
you don't want to be like, shut it all down and be a director?
No.
Oh, okay.
So I love high school baseball, but I'm also a huge fan of high school baseball. I love watching other players. I love watching other coaches.
Yes.
I love learning from them. And I have a huge soft spot in my heart for, those moments in time, and watching these guys at their craft, and watching them become better, and watch their student athletes, and, the kids that come and introduce themselves to me from other opposing teams and say they've been following, that pulls on my heartstrings. I love that. And then the coaching my son, that is going to be really near and dear to my heart. Like, it's the hardest thing I've ever done now, and I've got to learn to let go sooner or later, but I want to be there with him through those times. So if I'm there, and I'm JSerra lifer, but my end goal, like, I want to be able to put, me interpersonally, put my name in the history books. I think that's, then I could say on my gravestone that I did a good job, and that my kids that I coached did a good job, and they became great conduits for the community, and great parents and great husbands. I know it's cliched, but that's what matters at the end game, But me interpersonally, if I can be a good coach and a good person to these kids, and be good to my kids and good to my wife and that type of world, then I'm doing things right.
Brett K., thanks for joining us. Really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. It was awesome.
Another episode wrapped up. Stay tuned for more coming your way. Again, I'm Tark Patel from SB Live. ScorebookLive.com, high school sports nationwide, and especially here in Southern California, the Southern section. A little bit of city section coverage too, don't forget. Again, thanks for watching. Take care.